Anthropic just built an AI model so powerful that they're refusing to release it to the general public. Claude has just overtaken ChatGPT, and OpenAI says that we should only be working 4 days a week. That's three big stories for today, and at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a practical tip that you can use in Claude today, so stick around for that. If you don't know who I am, my name's Gavin. I'm the founder of Ideal and Digital, and this is where I help businesses get AI working inside their teams, specifically in their business and marketing functions. Now, I'm not a developer. I sit inside these businesses. I work alongside the people on a day-to-day basis, and I help them rebuild how they work with AI. This is episode 1 of the Daily Dose. So every weekday, I'm going to be breaking down the biggest AI stories and telling you what it actually means for you, the things that matter and what you can do about it. So let's jump on in straight to the biggest stories of today. So as you can see here, Anthropic has built an AI that can hack pretty much anything. So on Saturday, Anthropic, the company behind Claude, confirmed that they are not releasing their newest model to the public. Now that model is called Claude Mythos, so it's the one above Opus, and it's the most powerful thing that they have ever built, and they've just decided that we can't have it, but there's a really good reason for it. So when they tested it internally, the model, it started finding all these security flaws in software. So not these small ones, not little bugs here and there. We're talking about the hidden weaknesses in Windows, Mac, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, the stuff that every single one of us use every single day. And the worst thing is, it is flaws that we had no idea existed. In this particular system, OpenBSD, a system known primarily for its security, they found a 27-year-old bug. So after thousands of code reviews on a human level, it was never found. Yet Claude Mythos was able to find that. And not only find it, it was able to exploit it. And what that means is it figured out how to break through them on its own, no humans involved, and it didn't have to be told how to do it. To give you a sense of scale, the previous model was able to break through Firefox a couple of times during testing. Mythos did it 181 times. So what did Anthropic do? Well, they have introduced Project Glasswing. So basically what this is, it's a private group of the biggest tech and security companies in the world. So we're talking Amazon Web Services, Anthropic, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, all these ones here. Google's in there, Nvidia, Microsoft. These are all huge tech companies. We've probably got a bunch of logins for every single one of these. And the good thing here is they've invited everybody into this particular project, and they are giving them access to Claude Mythos. And the reason for that is they want these companies to go and patch every single vulnerability out there so that once, and eventually I imagine Mythos will be given to us, the public, once that's done, we can then be safe to a certain degree that our data is secure. So what this means for you is that AI is being built right now. It's getting so powerful enough that it's going to break the software that we all use on a daily basis. That is a real risk. That is a big issue. And it's happened in testing and in the lab, as we've seen with what's been released to us. And Anthropic, a company worth $380 billion, they looked at this particular model and they said, right, we could charge an absolute fortune for this. Instead, we're not going to release it. And that tells you something about this company. And this tells you exactly what this technology actually is and how we should be using it. So kudos to the tech companies there. Kudos to the Project Glasswing. I think it's a fantastic move, making sure that once it is released to us, that to a certain degree, our data and security is safe. And whilst Anthropic was making that decision, something else was happening in their business that caught everybody off guard. Claude is now making more money than OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT. $30 billion a year, whereas OpenAI is at around the 25 billion mark. That is a huge accomplishment, but the speed is what makes this an absolute wild story. So at the end of 2024, they were making about $1 billion a year. Still a lot of money, but at the end of 2025, it was then $9 billion. February this year, it was $14 billion. And then by the end of February, 19 billion. And now in April, they are at 30 billion. They tripled in 4 months. You can see on this particular article here, that kind of rise to how much they're making, with OpenAI being in green, Anthropic being in their classic orange. And look, here's a real big thing. They spent 4 times less than OpenAI building their particular models. So 1,000 big companies are now paying Anthropic $1 million a year each. That number has now doubled in over 2 months. But I can feel this shift in the industry as well. I've spoken to so many businesses. I work with a bunch of clients that are now shifting over from OpenAI or from Gemini or from a different model over to Claude because of how useful and powerful it is becoming. It just shows you how quickly these particular models are just developing. A year ago, we all used to be OpenAI, ChatGPT, look how powerful and useful this can be. And today, it's Claude and Anthropic. How it's just so interesting to see how quickly this is all moving and how we are using these particular models for different use cases. So right now, it looks like Anthropic is the winner. It's the one that is pushing ahead in the AI race. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Which model are you using and why? Pop it in the comments below. Okay, so with that, we know that Anthropic is holding back its most dangerous model, and somehow they are still printing money. Meanwhile, OpenAI had decided something completely different over the past week or so. They wrote a plan on the future of work, and quite frankly, it's a big one. So Sam Altman's big pitch to fix the AI mess sounds like Jamie Dimon's 4-day work week and a big new tax on rich people like him. So in this 13-page document that has been entitled Industrial Policy for Intelligence Age, Ideas to Keep People First, there is a bunch of sweeping policy blueprint that proposes tax hikes on corporate income, among other revenue-boosting levers that shift the tax burden from labor to capital. If we scroll on down a little bit more, the proposal also goes beyond just more than that tax policy. It talks about a series of policies meant to focus the gains of AI on workers, including incentivizing those particular businesses to retain, retrain, and invest in those workers, and potentially bringing in a 4-day work week without a pay cut. Before AI was even a thing, we've seen huge companies out there introduce a 4-day work week without any pay cuts, and there's been some interesting analysis come from that. So when having a look into this, lots and lots of stuff to kind of dive into specifically, but Sam Altman has just said, look, the economy has always depended on a balance between having workers and the companies that employ them. Now, his argument specifically is it's about to tip that balance when AI is introduced. So companies and governments, they need to step in as a result. So I want you to think about what that actually means. So we've got a company here spending billions and billions of dollars to build AI, saying publicly that AI is going to be disruptive enough to need a shorter working week, as well as bringing in new taxes to keep things fair. Now, whatever you think about politics and all that, it matters to you because if you run a team of 30, 40, 50 people, that 4-day work week conversation is gonna be coming in whether you start it or not. We know that AI is able to do so much more. It's able to do things much faster. So your thoughts around the 4-day work week is going to be really important. So I think here, like if you have a business and you figure out how to use AI to do 5 days of work within 4 days, then you're going to have a real advantage here. Again, like this is why this show exists. This is why I'm building this kind of content. It's so that we're able to figure out what's real, how we can bring in processes to help us save us a bunch of time, and also get better results. Now, speaking of putting AI to work, I promised a special little practical tip at the top of this video, and I want to show you a little bit more about what that tip looks like. One thing a lot of people don't know what Claude can do is it's able to create visualized charts and interactive charts for you. So here's one I made earlier, proper Blue Peter moment. I've got a monthly revenue data for a small business. Jan's this, Feb's this, March, April, May, June. Can you create an interactive map chart showing the trend and highlight which month had the biggest jump? Now, by doing this without needing Excel or any sort of chart creation software, you don't need any sort of plugins, you can just feed Claude data, and by saying the trigger word show me or showing or visualize, it's then going to create an interactive chart for you. Now you can describe what this chart looks like, how you would like it to look, or you can give Claude the creative freedom to do that yourself. So in the space of 10 seconds or so, it's created this particular chart. It was able to do exactly what I asked and highlight the biggest month, which the biggest jump was $7,000 from March to April. then able to do this. Now, what you're able to do with this is using these three dots, you can copy it to clipboard, you can download it, you can add it to your presentations, and it's just a nice, easy way, quick and easy. So if you've got a client meeting come up and you want to visualize some data, or you've got a daily stand-up with your team and you want to visualize some data, you can then add that in. Or if you just want to understand what this data means, you can feed it a CSV file and ask it to build out a bunch of charts for you. On top of that, you're then able to ask it to edit it ever so slightly. So in this case, I asked it, can you create some sliders so I can then move them around and then be interactive for you too. Really, really useful, can be used, and not a lot of people use this. So go give it a go, see if it helps you create some charts and visualizations far quicker than you have before. And look, that's episode 1 for today. 3 stories, a practical tip at the end. If this was useful to you, please consider subscribing. I'm going to be creating these videos every weekday for you. Tomorrow, there's going to be a lot more news, more things that you can actually do with AI. And I will always make sure that I keep it short, honest. I'll see you then. Thanks.